Good morning, dear colleagues, and let me greet all of you here. Well, this is a unique event which from year to year is getting better and more interesting. And in 2023, we had it and we thought that it was the best event. But here and now we see that we made it even higher, even better, higher level. And profound event, and I believe that this session will fit very well into these tasks which were set for us. And we will be talking about very interesting topics. And we'll be talking about the development of the economic security and safety, the prevention of threats, and expanding the business communication with the Islamic world. And it's very important. And today we have Rais of Tatarstan Republic, the deputy for general attorneys of the Islamic country. I think that this discussion will be very interesting and very useful. I'm a moderator. My name is Irina Sidorenko. I'm a professor of MGIMO, and I work as a consultant for the President Administration, Russian Federation, and I'm general director of the platform of the business protection community. And for us, it's a very important topic. And if you allow me to, as a moderator, I will allow myself to express this my admiration of how our General Attorney Office works, and we can say that we see how closely we work with the law enforcement institutions of different countries and within the Russia, and it's all about safety, of course, and security, about the providing law and order. And so that is why in this session I will have some questions to the organizer of this event, of these sessions, who inspired us to do these things. My questions is to Pyotr Gorodov, and my question is to you about the St. Petersburg Economic Forum. So would you please tell us, Igor last year told us about proactive approach of the general attorney, and we were all allotted with this kind of approach, and we started looking for so what that means, and what do we mean by this kind of approach? Well, thank you very much for this question. We see the new challenges, and we understand that we have to reform a lot in our work, and we have to protect the rights of investors. And we work very, very closely and monitoring the situation in Russia, and we mostly focus our efforts on prevention of criminal activity, illegal activity. We analyze our databases, which we have, and we all try to prevent rather than investigate the crimes. And we think that one of the most efficient ways of preventing the crime is to work closely with the laws and regulations. And according to our initiative last year, we had more than 42,000 corrections in our legislation, and it made our life much easier. And of course, we work very closely with authorities on different levels. We try to make our investment climate much more attractive. We work very closely with the municipalities, and this showed us that we are very efficient in this kind of way. And of course, it is very useful for us to do it this way. But on the other hand, and we know that we understand what the progress is in the legislation and lawmaking, and what we see, which we have seen during the last 2 years, we see that changes are just snowballing. How do you manage to follow all these changes which we have been observing for the last 2 years? In Russia, General Attorney Office is working on creating favorable conditions for investment and for the entrepreneurs community. In 2012, we organized special working group, and the main functions of this working group is the developing better legislation for the small and medium business, how to support small and medium business on the municipal level. And our office has, General Attorney Office has a lot of authorities, a lot of powers. We work very closely with the different levels of the government, with the subjects of federation. We coordinate work with the law enforcement in all levels. And of course, we work with the arbitration court. And we always continue dialogue with the business community. And during the last 3 years, we have been working very closely with the business community regularly. And during this kind of events, we work very closely with the different branches of our economy, with the Russian companies, and we help to solve different kind of economical disputes between the companies, among the companies, and it all helps developing our economy. This kind of approach helps us to see the objective situation, what's going on, and we react very promptly on different kind of conflicting situations and help them to solve them. And again, coming back to the digitalization, and I think we will be talking about these things. What we see in Russia and in Tatarstan about the digitalization, we see that the government procurement system is changing. So what is the role of General Attorney Office in this area? I understand this is very important challenge for us, very important problem, the way how we pay for the government procurement. Yes, of course, the government procurement programs are very important. It's very important for the stability of the economy. If we have this kind of unstable situation in our economy, and of course it's very important to monitor it. So that is why we monitor this situation very closely. We monitor the observations of the terms of the contracts, and we fight with this kind of crimes. We monitor all contracts with the government, and especially we very carefully monitor the budget money. When we work with the fines for the delayed payments, we investigate this kind of cases, and we compensate the losses of the parties which lost the money. We work very closely with the government bureaucracy, even up to the criminal investigations, according to the criminal code. And thanks to our interference, we happen to prevent crime for $21 billion rubles. And probably two more questions. One is about the administrative pressure which is put on In 2019, we organized a special platform which helps business to work. We had about 5,000 complaints. And I can say that it all happens with the help of the general attorney. We see the phenomenal changes in the approach and in the philosophy of how business and authorities work together. And the general attorney sets examples of the equal cooperation with the business, and they consider them as equal partners. And you, as a representative of the general attorney office, how we implement this program and how you work with this. we try to minimize our interference into the work of business, and we continuously introduce favorable changes into our legislation. So we work very closely with the register of this kind of crime and criminal interference, and so we minimize our interference into the business without any detrimental effects to the security. We minimized the interference into the business work. We agreed to put it in a few words, business now can work much easier without unnecessary bureaucratic interference. And we work very closely with complaints from business, and especially in 2022. We try to be fair towards business, and of course we look into the future, and General Attorney now is working very closely about limiting the unnecessary checks and inspections of the business. We work very closely with the government, with the legislation bodies, in order to give more freedom for business and economic freedom. And coming back to our session, we very often talk with the General Attorney, and we organize different kind of events with the General Attorney, and we see new countries, we see new visitors in this kind of a cooperation. Apart from this kind of platforms, what are other mechanisms which we implement in this? The Russian General Attorney Office guarantee the protections of the Russian and foreign investors and businesses from illegal activities and illegal interference, and we work together very closely with the international communities. We provide necessary legal support. We provide consultations with the different institutions of the foreign countries, and we help them to work in different areas as well. And for example, last year we worked with Uzbekistan General Attorney, and we work very closely in prevention of crime prevention, especially counter faked products. And we work, as I said, with Uzbekistan law enforcement, the illegal smuggling, and very often our foreign colleagues and ambassadors of the countries come to us with the problems which we help them to solve. And we last year worked very closely from China ambassador and the Turkish ambassadors, and so we helped them a lot to solve these kind of problems. We have about 150 contracts with the law enforcement of other countries, and these documents help us to protect entrepreneurs, and the number of this and the amount of this cooperation is growing continuously. And we work very close with the judges, with the courts of different healths. We share and disseminate our experience, and we work very closely in this area, including different international programs, which we involve a lot of our colleagues. And of course, we represent the interests of our country in different other countries, different other offices, international courts, arbitration courts, in which we participate, and we work in Vienna, Gaga courts very, very closely. And so Russian General Attorney Office has enough instruments to protect business on the international arena. And in conclusion, let me underline again that we are open for the open dialogue with institutions, law enforcement institutions of other countries. Well, thank you very much. And let me just say again a very important thing, that the General Attorney Office, it's a main institution which maintains law and order. And it's very important that we're building this kind of relationship, direct interactions with other countries in helping businesses, supporting businesses. And thank you very much again for your work, and thank you very much for our business, for its readiness to be ready to answer the challenges which history throws at us. So that is why thank you very much for what you're doing, what you have done, and I hope that next year we'll see each other here again. So there's a question to you, Peter, and next time we will talk in more detail the results of this kind of work. And now we have our colleagues, and probably they will tell us more what we have achieved during this year. Well, we move on, and we have to give floor to the host of this event, and we are looking forward to your presentation, Rustam Nurgalevich, and you've done impossible things. You organized this Islamic Forum, and every year we understand that it's turning into something unimaginable, something big. It's not right. It's a global event because what we do here, it's not many forums, not very many platforms can do. You unite people. You really, really do this kind of work, and thank you very much. So what's your own take on how we are conducting the 16th International Forum? Well, thank you very much. Well, first of all, I would like to thank General Attorney Office that even on this panel discussion in General Attorney we organize here in this forum. I think it's a great achievement, and I believe that if we're talking about our economy, if you're talking further development, I believe that it's the General Attorney Office plays a very important role. Everything which is connected with the Islamic world, and Russia is an observer in these organizations, according to the initiative of our country. And President Putin visited Malaysia, and it was very important visit. And Russia is a Christian country, but we have more than 20 million Muslims in this country as well. And of course, 15 years ago, we got the idea somehow to get closer to each other.
Because what is Islam? Islam, it makes certain requirements to food, to education, to the lifestyle. So this platform has started with the purpose of assuring that Muslims here in Russia can get Islamic banking, all the components of Islamic lifestyle, food, etc. We have immediately received feedback. Our colleagues from OIC, many countries, especially regarding banking, halal food, were interested and became our partners. So over time, we have seen that even the events that have taken place in Ukraine, when certain number of countries stopped keeping contacts with us, other countries started being much closer and stronger in interaction with us. For example, the growth of the turnover, 53% overall, and OIC by 83%. So, okay, if we are not welcome there, we are more in demand here. So we started more actively working in this regard. And we are, of course, happy to be seeing the interest of regions of Russia, happy to be seeing the representatives of OIC countries. The president of Russia has then decided that this forum, be it just like St. Petersburg or Eastern Economic Forum, is now having a federal status. So thank you very much for the total support as part of this federal program, we are having great many sessions and dedicated panel discussions where we can discuss all the questions of importance. For example, I have said today that we are having over 20,000 participants. Overall, over 80 countries will be represented throughout the forum program. Thus, we are seeing that this is an important platform. We are having a result. We are having great many current and future partners, people we are working with. Talking about the topic of discussion here today, well, be it a region or be it a country, anyone, if they want their country to be developing, if they want the investment and the investors, local or foreign, it's important that the law is in place, law is working, prosecution is assuring the functioning of the legal system. Thus, one of the criteria of investment attractiveness is the sustainability of administrative procedures, as long as there is an entity that oversees the proper working of the mechanism that is setting the stage. Today, we are seeing great transformations in the country. I have to thank the General Prosecutor's Office of the Russian Federation, the Prosecutor's Office here in the Republic. Whenever there are issues, we are meeting and interacting. We are happy to see them transforming because previously, if the oversight agency is coming to visit you, it means you are a problem, you have no way to escape. Whilst in here, we are having even preventive measures in place. In this panel session, I understand that each country of the participating ones have their rich experience, and it's very important that we can come together, hear each other, exchange opinions in that regard. This work is very much needed and necessary. I'm grateful to the General Prosecutor's Office. We are addressing many issues. We are thankful for the hierarchy of yours, and the General Prosecutor of the Republic is here with us. All this work of yours is assuring for investment attractiveness of the region and quality of living. Well, you see, Kazan is quite a good and attractive city with your own. You see it with your own eyes. I would like to thank you for the very fact that you are being with us, and each opportunity to interact is a lesson in itself. Thank you very much. I'm grateful to the moderator for professional questions given to our Deputy Prosecutor General. May I ask you questions? You can, but I'm not a lawyer. Well, I would not be asking you legal aspects. So, Mr. Reis, you are leaving aside, humbly, about the region, because Tatarstan is heard well all around the place. It's known that it is attractive for investment, but it's also very strong in digital environment. You are developing it very powerfully. In that sense, you are growing both the diplomacy of Islam with the Islamic world, assuring this work, and be it in this platform and other opportunities, you are strengthening them. And the topic of the roundtable of today is growing business communication. So I would like to request you speaking about the role of digital Tatarstan in this, and I would later present you this book about the textbook that we keep on writing about the digital economy, etc. Could you please share with us your assessment of the role of the digital in growing business relations, business communications with the Islamic world? Well, I believe that the current rate of development moving forward requires having access to great data pools. And if you take a look at where we were some 20 years ago when just beginning introducing digitalization, we are very different. Right now, in half an hour, we can get access to all necessary information and make decisions. that previously was taking months of the approval, sometimes some documents, components getting lost in the process. For example, can you imagine culture today without digitalization? Even culture or healthcare medicine without digital? Impossible. Medicine, where it was 20 years ago and today, not speaking about the state governance, about the services we provide and response immediate that we get from the population, the popular control system in place. All the communications that are necessary are being implemented in real life. Be it in construction process, take a look at modern enterprises. These are systems that can't work without digitalization. Fully automated thing. Where everything is being documented in the logs down to who has tightened their specific bolt, or digital twins, thanks to the possibility of digitalization. The time for the effective service life of equipment has increased. That is assuring the effectiveness of the work. For example, from the technical aspect, well, as soon as the scheduled maintenance times, you work on it. Today, the diagnostic system allows you assuring the fact that expensive pieces of equipment are extending their lifetime past the standard development areas. For example, wherever you go, it is speeding you up. For example, I remember at early stages when we had two incidents freezing document turnover. Today, wherever I am getting all the information. Thanks to internet, I'm covered anywhere I am. In that sense, I'm receiving all the documents live, approving respective decisions, and we are investing into digitalization. We are having 3 most modern IT parks, growing our young staff, keeping in mind that we are having difficulties using the services of the Western European American developers. We have developed our own services, not any worse. We have established Innopolis University in Special Economic Zone. And today, all the industries are covered. Imagine agriculture, where it was at the beginning of the 21st century, and where it is now. Today, Ministry of Agriculture is ahead even industry in digital regard. They know what cow where should be at whatever moment, be it in insemination, be it in milking, and the robot has all the information, or on the field, specifically pinpointed fertilizer introduction, not to mention more about the AI services that are helping the decision making and that way opening new horizons. In this regard, I would say that we cannot continue any other way any longer. Well, I would even say that to all those present here, that I'd probably call Tatarstan as the, if not birthplace, the place setting development of all the IT platforms around Russia. Entrepreneurs are being taught how to use them, how to get access to respective marketplaces and start selling. And I have been impressed myself when I was first introduced. In this regard, a question. Do you feel, sir, that next year you will be able to say that special Islamic marketplaces are coming about, that businesses are coming and using this? Is there a chance that your wonderful experience that should be scaled, we would be able to train everybody? Well, the question is about what? large enterprises, they can, of course, come to the market. They are better prepared. Talking about small or medium enterprises or individual entrepreneurs, it's them that need the support of how getting their products on the shelves to the customers. We have discussed this with entrepreneurs. So we have established there is public marketplace. We have established a system assuring training our entrepreneurs and tracking the success of the system. And now I can't even give statistics. Question about the figures for last year. The aid is getting up, giving figures, and that figure, and he continues that Rice continues saying that that figure keeps growing. Without digitalization, that wouldn't have been there, and we are actively working with marketplaces. Not just working, we are now even promoting those marketplaces to other countries. For example, with us is Uzbekistan, Wildberries is there, and there are a number of other proposals of ours. And marketplaces today understand very well that it's important that industrial sites are nearby, so that they are creating ecosystems so that entrepreneurs will be developing products and be promoting through their marketplaces. We are already discussing this with your colleagues. We have a golden dream, and there is a wonderful idea, digital small and medium entrepreneurship. It would be wonderful to give a start within one of the global events that you're organizing, because the global digital element that would help then general prosecutors system to oversee everything, tracking all the contacts, observing business diplomacy, etc., would have been great. What would you say? What do you think, Rustam Margaevich? Mr. Rice, it's important to state that the federal level, a lot of attention is given to digitalization. A separate region, for example, us, we can, of course, can do some things, but it's important that there is a very powerful federal network, and we are also contributing into that work, that level. Digitalization is about transparency. Whenever there is transparency, it means less corruption, less other infringements, etc. In this sense, General Prosecutor's Office is always with us. It is standing for the interests of the entrepreneurs as well as the state, assuring the implementation of laws in place at the territory of the respective country. Fully agree with you. Thank you very much for your support at this platform. With us are also distinguished colleagues that are very actively developing in the aspect of supporting businesses and communication, of legality of this work. With us, the Deputy Prosecutor of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Nasser Hassan Adawi. Dr. Adawi, could you please speak to us about the way General Prosecutor's Office of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is seeing interaction with business? What tasks are on your plate today, and how is the development with Russia?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. حقيقة في البداية يسرني أن أتقدم بالشكر الجزيل لدولة روسيا وكذلك للنيابة.
First of all, I'd like to thank Russian Federation and the Russian General Prosecutor's Office for the hospitality, for the welcoming. That's to begin with. Secondly, speaking about the question that you have posed, speaking about the interaction with the Russian Federation, with businesses, etc. We are paying great attention. We have established a wonderful climate, wonderful relations, and are giving a lot of attention to this question. We are assuring protection of enterprises. Our entrepreneurs have significant opportunities for opening up production They clearly need the reliability of their business procedures, and businesses and General Prosecutor's Office is paying great attention to this regard. On top of that, we are tracking investment. We have to assure that our businesses get reliable, solid, legally clean investments, and we are taking measures to develop both the legislation that would assure this, and secondly, we are developing the environment within which businesses can develop and implement their potential. One of the large companies of Saudi Arabia is Aramco company. And this company is demonstrating great attention to precise following of the law, since this company is related to large capitals, large investments. The company needs to assure that their performance, their work is done in line with the most rigid norms of the law in every regard. And just like many other large companies, they are using substantial amounts of capital in their operation, money, financial ones included. We are developing economic activities with a great many countries, but it's important that the money would not be flowed uncontrollably, that everything would be legal in this regard. And we are tightly cooperating with Russian leadership and the General Prosecutor's Office of the Russian Federation. We believe that this cooperation assures great opportunities for the development of trade and exchange of goods between our countries. We are working on assuring the opportunities of our entrepreneurs to be coming and doing business in Russia, as well as Russian entrepreneurs to be coming to Saudi Arabia, to make sure that entrepreneurs feel comfortable and in safety, be it when they're working within the country or going outside. Dr. Adawi, what measures are done today to make sure that Russian entrepreneurs, whenever they are coming into the platforms, interacting with businesses in your country, they feel themselves safe and secure? What mechanisms are in place? Can they directly contact prosecutor's office? Are there any guarantees assured for foreign investors?
Yes, of course. Well, there are a lot of possibilities for businessmen from Russia or any other country to let them work in our country without problems. And our king, as well as the prince, they took care of new laws, and they adopted new laws which provide stability for the work of foreign investors in Saudi Arabia. And in particular, one of mechanisms which has been adopted in our country is providing of each and every investor, foreign investor, we give them possibility to go to the General Prosecutor Office, get necessary consultation, advice, support, help, and etc. And that is why a General Attorney General Prosecutor Office continuously protects the interests of business community, entrepreneurs, and of course maintains law and order in order to prevent any kind of law violation. And of course we punish very severely those who break these kind of laws. And we created such investment climate and such system for foreign investors, which provides these investors with all these possibilities. And at the same time, we protect the consumer rights. The Saudi Arabia king, Allah bless him, also monitors the development of those mechanisms which provide for sustainable growth of investments in our country. And as for Russia, of course, has a special place in our cooperation. And where we see we have a huge progress in this area, and we work very closely, and especially in the area of the artificial intelligence. And Saudi Arabia has always been in the front of these digital technologies. Where now and how now you are implementing these kind of projects, and especially in the area of the public attorney general attorney activity? Well, the general attorney has done a lot, important steps to implement digitalized approach. We work with all the problems in this area, all these challenges. We try to overcome them. Yes, we are developing digitalization, digital approach very quickly. We do have certain issues which we are solving with artificial intelligence, with digitalization, and we have a system of providing cyber reliability, cyber digital reliability, electronic paper turnover, and paperwork, and we definitely we set a goal so that our prosecutor general office work efficiently, so that in 2-3 years we completely switch to digital documentation turnover without any kind of paperwork. Yeah, we do have crimes in the area of IT. We have also problems with providing necessary behavior in business terms, and thanks God we are able to control this situation, and in this kind of work we are successful. And for example, food security. We monitor the situation very closely, and we use the digital approach very actively. And these issues are all in the focus of our attention. I think that we will continue this work, and business monitors very closely this kind of cooperation, and we see the successful results. And it's very good that the Prosecutor's General Office monitors it very closely. I think that the Russian business, it's very important, and our Russian business hopes that this cooperation with your country will get stronger, and of course with the support of the legal approach and support of this kind of work. Thank you very much for what you were doing. Thank you. Dear colleagues, we have very intensive discussions, and so far as we have to let our Rais go, who takes care of the 20,000 guests here, and all guests would like to talk to him and learn more about Tatarstan and so on. So let's just have a 3 minutes technical break. And after that, we will come back to our discussions, because it is very important to understand and what has been said, and after that we will continue. So literally 3 minutes. Please don't leave the venue. And I think that that's a pity that we cannot have as many people as we wanted to, because for business it's a very important place where the business would like to go. Because for me, as you know, the indicator that something is legalized, the and taxation office. If taxation office and attorney general says that everything is okay, so we can work on this with this area, and it's a safe place to go. And so that is why all of you who have here, and we have a lot to talk about business, a lot of participants join us. I think it's very important where we go, and I would like to give floor to our partner who helps us a lot. Give floor to the country which works very closely with the Russian Federation. It's the Azerbaijan, and to have we have the General Attorney Deputy Mamedov Gaidar Vidaliaglu. Good morning, and what exactly is being done in Azerbaijan? And for example, last year we discussed very closely what you were doing in Azerbaijan. We were inspired and surprised with your success. And today, what can you tell us about the Attorney General Office in terms of strengthening business communication? Thank you very much for being here, and we are very, very happy to greet all of you here, and I greet all of you on behalf of our delegation and on behalf of the Attorney General of Azerbaijan, Mr. Kimran Ali. And using this opportunity again, I would like to thank all of you who organized this forum, and of course your hospitality, and of course thank our Tatarstan brothers. Yes, I would be very happy to answer this question, and I also would like to cover a number of other issues and problems in my presentation about the importance of the economic security as well. Economic security is the foundation of the prosperity of any country, and in globalization, integration of economies, the issues of economic security is getting more and more important. The expansion of this, and of course, requires it demands the protection of the interests. Azerbaijan follows this course and supports private initiative, private business, and business community. It's very successful policy, and it's being conducted by our president, Mr. Aliyev, and we are very flexible. We adapt to the requirements of the modern world and challenges. And I would like to share our experience in this area, and we have adopted a number of laws and regulations which protect the interests of the private business and investors. And these measures include the protection from the illegal interference into the business, illegal inspections of the business, and regulates the relationship between business and the government. Azerbaijan shows significant progress in attracting foreign investments. We continue expansion of our increase of our economic cooperation, and among these important steps we have a number of economic amnesties. We wrote off some debts and to our country, and according to our recent laws, we support the private investments with the government support, and we organized free economic zone in different regions of our republic, and we have supported these projects with our investors and foreign investors. The presidents of these economic zones have tax privileges in terms of VAT and profit tax for 10 years. And plus to these measures, I would like to mention our last law from 20 October 2015, which freezes the inspections of business. It simplifies the business projects, and it protects the interests of business from unnecessary bureaucratic pressure. And the, of course, monitoring is organized by the Prosecutor General Office of the Republic of Azerbaijan. It helps to protect the rights of business, of course, which is the key key reason why we do these things, the protection of business interests. And of course, we liberated our land in 2020, and we organized anti-terrorist operations. So we have restored the territorial integrity of our country, and we also work very actively on creating favorable investment climate, which can facilitate our prosperity and economic growth. So one of the main directions of this development of these liberated territories, we turn it in the green energy zone, which underlines our strive to the economically sustainable development. Apart from that, our country very actively participates in the social renovation of these territories, and we return people to their historical land. On the legislative legal level, so we help them with the special tax privileges. We change some paragraphs in our tax code. The investors in these territories are absolved from the land tax and VAT tax for 10 years, and we also have profit tax privileges as well. And we already got 1,000 applications to conduct business in this area. And in many businesses in Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkey, Russia, Italy, Hungary, and other countries which are interested in investment in this area to restore these liberated lands. Now we are developing new relationship with the Islamic world. It's a time for the big challenges, but also big opportunities for us. Working with the Islamic world opens new future for Azerbaijan, not just economically, but culturally as well. We want to participate in all these international projects. Azerbaijan is a very active member of the Islamic Cooperation Organization, pays a lot of attention to development of the relationship in all areas of this organization. Nevertheless, with the new opportunities, we do have new challenges, and as I've said, the Prosecutor General Office plays an important role in providing the security, economic security of the country, and thanks to the latest reforms, we help our business to community, to help. And General Attorney Office prevents threats for economic community, such as the financial crimes, crookery, fraud, and our main department for the fight for corruption. We have we conduct a lot of investigations in this area, and we also conduct a lot of investigations in order to prevent corruption and bribery, which is, of course, the fundamental thing for our country. And we have initiated a lot of special measures to prevent economic crimes through close work with the General Attorney Office and the Prosecutor General. So we regularly analyze and monitor corruption risks, and we eliminate the risk of corruption. We have taken into account that the investigation of economic crime is being conducted in tax office. In our Ministry of Economy of Azerbaijan Republic, we play key role in investigating the taxation violations. And we, in our office, do a lot in order to help tax office to maintain law and order. As for our investigation committee, so this committee investigate most important criminal cases. We have also the expertise department, and the specialists of this department conduct different kind of inspections in accounting offices, in banking area, credit, and some other areas as well. We also issue the analytical documents, our conclusions, and we issue the recommendations to the investigators, which of course help them to work more efficiently. In conclusion, I would like to underline that the Prosecutor General Office pays a special attention to all complaints of the business community. We work very closely with the Ombudsman, with the Agency for the Small and Medium Business Development, and business community in general. Our office protects law and order. We protect interests of all business subjects, and this joint work facilitates a transparent business environment where every business can feel the support of the state and be sure in tomorrow. And let me assure again that this international forum, Russia Islamic World, helps a lot in facilitating and strengthening our cooperation, and it stimulates the further development and cooperation in the area of economic security and stopping threats in the context of expanding business communications. Yes, I would like to share my opinion as well. And on the Far East Economic Forum, we had this presentation, and we had a presentation from the General Attorney of the General Prosecutor of Azerbaijan. We were very much impressed that you have this consistent work, and it's a very important indicator is that our entrepreneurs go to Baku, and our entrepreneurs plan to have a long-term cooperation with your country. Well, that means that they believe in Azerbaijan. So one clarification you probably mentioned about it, and you said that you have some, you provide some privileges in terms of taxation and so on. And you said the profit tax, right? Yes, profit tax and VAT. For 10 years, yes. Yes, that's a phenomenal story. And I think it's a very, very, very serious story, which convinces us again that you're very flexible. Thank you very much for this work, what you're doing. And dear colleagues, and we move on. And today we have the deputy of the Prosecutor General Kazakhstan. And good morning, and we can say a lot about our cooperation, and Kazakhstan also is very active in terms of public control, and we just have to think about very important and interesting projects connected with digitalizations and about crime prevention. So we were very much surprised that many years ago you were talking about that some kind of violations in the construction business, for example, and of course it was very interesting.
How does the work is being done today in this regard? What tasks are you seeing in front of yourself today? Thank you. Well, thank you for noting the work we have done in this regard over this period, dear colleagues, participants of the session. Please allow me to welcome you on the 15th International Russia Islamic World Forum. I'd like to thank the colleagues from the Russian Federation, in particular the representative of the General Prosecutor's Office of the Russian Federation. May I congratulate you with the day of the great victory we had just a few days ago. Welcoming all the participants of the session, I'm confident that this is an important platform where we can be exchanging our work in our professional business. For the General Prosecutor's Office, we are working a lot in recent years, excluding the pressure on the entrepreneurs in the business process. Significant changes in the legislation, over 300 criminal aspects have been decriminalized. Criminal code was decreased. At the same time, more rigid requirements are introduced for registration of criminal acts to avoid respective businesses from the criminal area. We have a special decree. Right now, a case is not initiated until the civil procedures are over. The legality of every element is being tested within the 24 hours from the registration. As a result, pre-court investigations have decreased by almost 3 times. Secondly, lowering the number of various checks on businesses and lowering administrative barriers. Approvals with the general prosecutor became, for example, thanks to the single register of the subjects and the objects of oversight, we are seeing all data on business checks and preventing illegal elements before some authorities are coming on the system. Europe, a red one on the right, is the single register of administrative infringements, is also in place. In all elements, we are having mobile groups 24/7 consultation whenever. Lowering the pressure. Thanks to these measures, we have freed 12,000 businessmen from illegal fines worth $4.2 million, overcome 14,000 unjustified limitations. Within 5 years, we have decreased 4 times various checks on the entrepreneurs and the level of demands towards business 3 times. At the same time, we have concentrated on resolution of the most sensitive issues for businesses. Interacting with the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs, jointly with the Chamber conducting business forums, keeping an eye on challenges that our interaction is necessary. Just last year alone, we have overcome 40 such elements. For example, prevented charging taxes for advertisements on the plates posters that people are playing. Recently overcome prevented illegal monitoring or subsidies for agriculture. Third element, the president of the country has identified new vector for the prosecutorial protection. Our staff is permanently allocated to the companies that are attracting investment. Every region has front offices, and that shows real work. Investors are coming and are speaking to us about their challenges. The task of prosecutors is immediately use their mechanisms available to overcome this area. Over the course of the year, 215 problems of 300 investors has been resolved, and they have invested $8.2 billion on our act. 70 officials of various authorities have been fined. Overall, we are tracking over 800 projects. For example, Turkey 36, 7 United Arab Emirates, Azerbaijan, others, etc. To assure that we track those systems appropriately, we have a green corridor that simplifies the investors to go through the procedures. It's now used for global brands, and we are intending to spread them to other businesses. And I would like to state that the system is being implemented under the investment headquarters of the government. Since December of last year, its decisions are mandatory for the state authorities. We have introduced prosecutorial filter. Now, prosecutors are approving key decisions regarding investors' oversight, various contracts, related elements, licenses, etc. State authorities are to inform prosecutors about all the suits they bring into court regarding investors. Prosecutors today have rejected 200 such moves regarding over 57 investors. At the moment, we are doing it manually, but step by step digitalizing it. At the moment, developing a uniform digital investment platform that is meant to assure real-time tracking of all processes, beginning investment attraction to the implementation of the project stage. Whenever there there would be infringements, the system would be signalizing to prosecutors. Dear participants of this session, I have informed you only about part of the work we are doing for supporting businesses. Kazakhstan is a secular, multi-ethnic country in the heart of Eurasia that has rich natural resources. Prosecutors of Kazakhstan, our team is ready to promptly respond to requests of foreign investors, assuring transparency of our partnership. We would like to see that our experience and results in developing proper business climates would be paid attention to by investors, including investors from the Islamic world. We are open for constructive dialogue and mutually beneficial cooperation for us. Foreign investments or step into the future where the success of investors is national priority. I would like to use the opportunity to invite investors to visit our country and take a look at new opportunities for doing business. Thank you very much for your attention. Well, you have just confirmed, sir, that Kazakhstan keeps on moving. I was noting down all the new things, the investment headquarters, prosecutorial filter regarding dissolution of contracts, especially an investment platform, is a great achievement. It's important that something that we also integrate. We are also having great developments related to investment platforms. But of course, it would be great to assure that these platforms integrate and work together jointly. That would probably give great results. I hope that next year we'll be able to brag about the results that businesses are interacting with one another using the opportunities that Kazakhstan is offering. Dear colleagues, I would be sincerely inviting you to take a look at the way Kazakhstan is moving in this regard. The figures are there. The dialogue is growing stronger. Dialogue component of the platforms, not just representative of the formal governmental level, but feedback and back and forth is there. We very well understand that you are working hard with businesses, and I'm just confident that as part of Euro-Asian economic community and bilateral cooperation, that will be getting stronger. You have noted correctly, Petr Petrovich has said that we have come together for that very purpose, to exchange, to get to know, to learn new things, the way this is done in each other's countries for the benefit of the development of our countries. Well, we will take a few things of yours, and maybe you can take our presidential project. I was thinking, what Kazakhstan doesn't know, you don't have the platform for business, and their prosecutor's office is there. It is now considering over 40% of all the requests that go into the governmental system, and entrepreneurs see that the final player that can be resolved is still be in the prosecutor's office, not knowing that this decision will be final and most justified, and the proper interaction with public figures is something that you have, and it requires additional aspects. Well, let's take a look there as well. Well, dear colleagues, we are talking about protecting businesses. We, of course, have to listen to businesses themselves. Connected with us today, couldn't travel here, the Vice President of the Russian Union of Industrialists and Entrepreneurs, Mr. Sergei Sergeyevich Mysenkov. Look here, colleagues. I see Deputy Head of the Federal Service for Intellectual Property, Andrei Vasilievich Solonovich. Andrei Vasilievich, we wanted to come to you next, but good that we start the discussion now, because the question is there. Many know that you have a patent, but not many understand how deep you went into the respective developments, how well things are being assured on the preservation, protection, defense, and protection of intellectual properties. Today we are discussing in the framework of the friendly countries the topic of our businesses going on other platforms. What does Rospatent do in this regard? What projects, what things are you implementing today? Unfortunately, we don't hear you at the moment, Andrei Vasilievich. Not yet, reading from your lips, but not hearing you, unfortunately, not yet. Yes, getting better. You hear me? Magnificent now. Please go ahead, sir. Did you hear us? Did, did you hear the question? I did hear the question. Welcoming all the participants of today's session. On this very topic, the topic of this session, I'd like to know that one of the most important tools is preventing economic threats in the area of business communications. One of the main tools is intellectual property. The widespread errors of entrepreneurs, especially the beginners, as well as those that are planning to go on foreign markets. Unfortunately, they oftentimes are not paying good attention to protection of various markings of respective products, because any person can register a respective signs and whatever, and then be threatening with fines and obstacles for the development of businesses. Such a situation is happening quite frequently when the brand has become popular between consumers, and that is difficult to prove if you have not legally defended that right. The same is true for R&D. Let me underline that only the intellectual property protected products can take the proper place at the national or foreign markets. Only in this regard, whenever you have assured your proper legal rights for all the components, it's only in this environment that you can assure all the proper protection measures. Russian businesses can use all the possibilities for registration of respective rights, and despite the widespread opinion that it is difficult, long, and expensive, it's now quick and relatively accessible with all the discounts at the moment. Assuring respective protection can be done within 4 months, which is faster than in many developed economies. The digital services that are there allows for filing applications, getting patents, and all the certificates. Our search platform has a great amount of data of patent information, and it gives free search for anyone. You can thus independently run your patent research and identify the level of scientific novelty in your solution. In November of last year, we have launched the service of searching on trademarks, which means that entrepreneurs can quickly and free of charge run the search on the database of the agency without filing application for some signs and trademarks that are already registered. Beginning 2024, 11 services on intellectual property related are brought to Russian Federal Portal. The time frames and necessary documents to get the respective elements have been sped up. For example, sped up 3 times, down to 26 days, whilst the patent just specialist tried 5 times to 21 days. Using respective documents, you can find a file for funding as well as tax discounts at Moscow. 3.5% loan. A loan at 3.5% can be obtained if you provide your intellectual property as justification. Last year, we have launched a register of small technology companies that allows you to access the respective wider spectrum of services at discount rates without special documentation. We start seeing interest of both large companies and startups. Talking about export, Russian businesses can now get access to all the international registration services abroad. The patent is our agency serving as their provider. Some solutions that we offer is speed up obtaining permits abroad, working as a single window. That support tool is part of our cooperation with Russia Export export center called Made in Russia for high-tech exports. I'd like to mention a few words about risks that you would take on if you are omitting the steps of protection. You would not be able to defend your rights on your own. It's not enough to develop technology in various regards. It's important that you timely register your right, get a patent for invention. Unprotected intellectual property might be a subject of copying and falsification. Whatever you have developed can be simply stolen by our competitors because you would not have any legal tools to counteract them. Only a product that has a protected intellectual property is a protected product, and it has a competitive advantage, assures monopoly position on the marketplace. Some companies do not believe in patent and prefer commercial secrets and know-how modes, but if you lose information, then competitors would be able to use intellectual property free of charge. Without protected intellectual property, you would not be able to use a franchise model, because the main condition for concession is providing your rights for a registered trademark, which is obviously a danger of losing the profits. With the participation of the objects of the intellectual property of the Russian Federation, oftentimes these are being developed in line with the contract from the government on state contracts, and Rospatent Agency, on top of the provision of state services, is assuring state oversight in the area of protection and use of results of intellectual property developed with funding from federal budget, regarding also those who are doing R&D.
And the priority is, of course, the prevention of the violations of the obligatory requirements in certain area. So, of course, this is a prevention work, and we also work very actively in improving the legislation in the area of the intellectual property protection, know-how protections, and of course, we provide all necessary measures to protect intellectual property and to involve as many interested parties as possible. In conclusion, I would like to say that the way to success and mitigation of the risks lies in the area of intellectual property protection, especially when you work in international markets. Before you go internationally, you have to have a portfolio of your rights for protection of intellectual property, with which you will be able to protect your technology, your products, which uses this technology. High-tech export is not only about the legal protection of your invention. So you have to protect the whole range of issues of protection, not just the technical solutions, but also design of, for example, your product. If we talk about software, we're talking about the protection, even the graphic interface, and of course, brand registration protection. You have to take it into account. It is one of the keys of your international protection. And well, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much. Andrei, just one question. Could you please just give us recommendation? For example, we have small business, and it develops a small business developed some kind of a digital innovation, and they're ready to go to the market. They're ready to go to Saudi Arabia, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan. What would you recommend? What would you advise to this in order to not to have problems with the Attorney General office? Do we have to register their patent right? Will you help these people to understand how their rights will be protected in these countries on international? What kind of help you can provide? Well, the key service, of course, is giving all range of necessary information, all the scope of necessary information about the possibilities of this intellectual property, whether it's possible to protect it on Azerbaijan, for example. And if no, and if this result all this work can have significant economic potential. And of course, there is a necessity to spend some money to protect this business. So we have a system of consultations, the specialists, in order to provide this intellectual property protection. We have a special system which supports this work with different departments, with the patenting, with the patent protection, to support business, to help them to organize the paperwork necessary for these kind of legal proceedings. And of course, we provide all possible consultations. First of all, we have informational resources, and in any case, we're ready to help how to work with this resource in order to get a patent protection before going internationally. Well, thank you very much, because now we see that business sometimes is very negligent to their own ideas. Not many businesses want to really care about its security. So, dear callers, if you have something very, very interesting and unique, not just bicycle, so please go to Rospatent, and they can help you, and our business can work without any problems. So you can do it. And dear colleagues, well, thank you very much, Andrei. And we move on. And today we have the representative of the business, whom I announced earlier. This is Sergei Machenko, Vice President of the Russian Union for Entrepreneurs and Industry. So can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you very well, and we can hear you very well. I'm very happy to see you here. And so what you were talking about, it's very important, because we came across the new type of threats, the cyber threats, a different kind of fraud. And the more we work in a digital world, the more such risk which we deal with. And of course, the digital hygiene, that's a new term which we have, which tells us that there is a lot of responsibility which companies have to deal with the people. So, and in your institution, you organize a lot of events in order to help people to be more careful with their inventions and innovations. As for the topic of this protection, I think that business is truly international. Businesses are happy to work with each other if it's profitable for them, if it's beneficial for them. And of course, we are very glad that we have in Kazan, we have such event. This is very important forum. Russia is a multinational country, and we have different confessions, different religions, and from Caspian Forum, we started working with Iran, and we see that the Iranian entrepreneurs, we hosted huge delegation from Iran, and we see how they interested to work, and we understand that it doesn't matter what religion you have, but if you're interested in working in Russia and you're a friend of our country, and of course we would like to see more and more interest in people and countries and parties who would like to work in Russia, in spite of the fact that right now we are under the pressure of sanctions, and we have to talk about it, we have to take in mind, and we, as the Chamber of Trade and Commerce, we just see that businesses strive to work with Russia. Businesses keep trying to have Russia as a business partner, and we see that the list of these companies is not getting smaller, shorter. maybe some companies can have relations with American and Britain. Well, a lot of them regret about their losses in Russia. Russia is a huge market for digital technologies, and we went to Germany, I remember, and we talked about, and we surprised, we saw that Russian IT companies are very well presented in Germany, and the Russian security experts who work in this area, they work very actively on, for example, automobile um, companies, especially developing of the pilotless vehicles. And of course, in Russia, digital progress is very significant. We have pretty well developed system of, for example, the government services. We in all these sites, and people who live in Russia, we all use these services. We also developed the business resources which help to work with the government, to use the government resources with a very flexible functionality. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to work with a lot of papers, applications, bureaucracy. No, you can do it just in 1 minute, and send it to the government and get response just in several hours instead of lining up in the office with your papers and so on. So Russia in this way is quite developed. We are more than happy to share our experience with our foreign colleagues, and we are happy to be the flagship of these kind of practices. And we are ready to disseminate. We are also ready to borrow best practices from our friends, and we are building up our logistics north south, which of course will deal with Iran and Iraq, and we are thinking about how it can go this route. Definitely it will cross all Russia, and for us it is a very important traffic for the goods across Russia. Yes, we hope and we rely on our Iranian friends. And as you know, President Putin set a task to build a railroad to Iran, and we are implementing these projects. We have huge future in this kind of comparison with Islamic world. We're very proud of it. And business doesn't have nationalities, doesn't have borders. And if entrepreneurs are happy and ready to work with us, so they will do it. Antonina, thank you very much for your very interesting session, for your interesting conference which you are conducting. And I think that we need to talk more about this. We need to talk more about business missions, about business tourism, which we have. And we need to talk more about our possibilities with our foreign colleagues to show what we can do, how we can work together, establish new business communications in different areas, in business trips, which help us to strengthen our cooperation, create more business connections, and to make our countries stronger. Thank you very much for the possibility to be with you with my presentation, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, we will have to go to lunch break, and but my colleague has told me a very important thing, and I will have to say that now we are on a unique event. And this unique event is called the so-called legal or law and order diplomacy. We do not abandon our business. Well, we do not abandon business. Well, we do not let business mess up with the gray economy, black economy. We help business to interact with the government and to get the support of it. So hope you will have we will have one break during 1 hour and a half because at 1 p.m. please come back. We will continue this discussion. We will have very good guests. We will learn more about many countries. We will learn about Kyrgyzstan, about Egypt, and we will have our Tajikistan friends. We will learn more about Tatarstan. Farid will tell us more about. So that is why. Thank you very much for being here with us, and we'll talk about it 1 hour later. Thank you.
Presentation, the regions, the industry, overall wide spectrum of businesses is growing. Very much recommend you to take a look. I promised you that we would be continuing the session. Here it comes. It's very important for us to understand that we are speaking the same language. And if our practices in the area of our discussion, even if they are not matching, they are very similar and can be streamlined. And we will be very happy to have they're welcoming Mr. Mohammed Mahmoud Khalaf, the PO's chairman, director, Arab General Prosecutor's Office, Republic of Egypt. Mr. Mohammed Mahmoud Khalaf, we've been speaking today a lot about the development of the Islamic world. Could you please speak about the dimensions that are a priority for you, the way you are organizing your dialogue with the foreign investors and businesses, sir? Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Dear those in presence, peace, blessings of Allah. To begin with, I would like to express my deep thanks and gratitude for the opportunity to be taking part in this very important event. And I would like to pass on the welcoming address, welcoming words of the Prosecutor General of the Arabic Republic of Egypt. I would like also to note a very high and wonderful organization of the current forum and the fact that the forum is discussing very important issues. The topic selection speaks about the fact that the topics we are discussing quite appropriate and timely. Investments are like feeding vessels of any economy. And for Egypt, investment is very important. So Egypt is widely opening its doors for investment. Investment promotes, supports the development of economy, of industry. It creates jobs. It's at the same time a pathway for acquiring new technological knowledge, technologies of modern time. Companies established in Egypt over the course of last year amounted to over 33,000, and they have capitals at the size of about 130 billion Egyptian pounds. That's the amount of investment into respective companies, legal entities. These figures are, of course, contributing towards the growing trust among Egyptian entrepreneurs. And it's clear that the topic of investment is always related to a spectrum of challenges, and our task, the task of the General Prosecutor's Office, is to assure we protect the safety of these investments, assure that they can work without obstacles, and we, as a Prosecutor General's Office, have the right inscribed into the constitution of the land to protect and support investments. We are an important part of the justice system of Egypt. We must be protecting the law, basing ourselves on supremacy of law in everything related to investment, both for investors as well as for the welcoming sides. And we should serve as an obstacle preventing any activities that go against attracting investments. That is governed on the number of laws on investments, on fines, on sanctions related to the infringers of the law on investment, as well as laws on wide spectrum of topics on finance, on money, laundering, or any sorts of illegal operations related to investment. At the same time, our entity is also responsible for the bankruptcy cases, an important aspect related to our work. If we sum all that up, we can say that our common job is to assure a good climate for investing activities in Egypt. General Prosecution Office has a specific division related to protection of investment. It's a part of General Prosecutor's Office, established back in 1958. And we also have another department of the General Prosecutor's Office concentrating on countering corruption, doing finance, as well as verification of transparency and cleanliness of respective financial sources. We are checking all the registers related to investment processes. It's important to note that on top of that, General Prosecutor's Office of Egypt has a wide spectrum of rights related to laying on various sanctions and different checks and other procedures related to assuring appropriateness of all investment activities. We are, of course, very much prioritizing the task of preventing any kind of fraud or other infringements related to investment practices. We are, of course, looking at bringing the very best industrial practices and experiences promoting investment practices. We are also having that on our radar. Speaking about the role of the prosecutor's office regarding a process of appeals, That's also a wide spectrum of diversity of activities. In here, we have resolution of various disputes between legal bodies, be it investors or investor receiving parties. We are making sure that no infringements would be made possible, prevented at the root, because otherwise it could be compromising the Egypt role, its authority, and would further weaken our opportunities in this area. We are attracting, of course, all the latest achievements of digitalization, to be used for addressing our tasks. In this regard, our prosecutor's office is an integrated mechanism, and without taking too much of your time away, I would say that it would probably be reasonable to state that General Prosecutor's Office is a pillar that is supporting the policy of our state in establishing the necessary base for assuring investments, for attracting investments into our country. At the same time, we are standing for the interests of our country as a whole and its citizens in particular. Any investment, and it's important that our citizens rest assured that any investment, foreign investment coming into the country, is a reliable undertaking. Thank you very much for your attention to the situation there is in Egypt and our experience overall. Thank you. Dear Mr. Khalaf, thank you very much. It was very informative. It was interesting. You started with a phrase that investments are like vessels that feed the system, and you have demonstrated how you organize the systemic work. As a director of PO's department and responsible also for cooperation, what key dimensions of developing this dialogue do you see? What do you feel it requires for quality interaction between countries in order to respond to various elements? Мы не можем к ним прийти, вот только с другой стороны. Он микрофон.
Работать. Все.
بعتذر يعني بس لتأخري لأن ما كانش الترجمة وصلت في موعدها. الحقيقة هو تطوير آليات التعاون الدولي.
There were some technical challenges. My interpretation for me was not available at some moment. We are paying great attention for our cooperation with colleagues from other countries. We are discussing the concept of general prosecutors' work in this regard. We are collecting, gathering experiences from other countries. We are having various MOUs that our country has signed with others in this regard. We are using experiences of other countries in this regard that's directed at developing our understanding and our approaches to investment area. And there is an important idea or a concept we are implementing in the country is the growing regional network in the work of the prosecutor's office. At the moment, we are having such a structure, such a network as part of the Middle East, the Arabic Middle East, and the 2021 in Egypt. We were having a dedicated regional conference. We are now having respective networks covering 45 countries, not just the Arabic Middle East, but wider. And we are working as part of respective networks, cooperation, exchanging experiences, exchanging information. That's something very important. Well, we have seen this work of yours, the one respective conferences were taking place, and the experience demonstrated by Egypt is, of course, an example for many. In this sense, the digitalization is something that will be continuing. Mr. Khalaf, it's important to note that it's not just the definition of various new dimensions of cooperation, but also a monitoring from year to year. It's important to know that last year on this very same platform, we were meeting with the chief aide to the general prosecutor of Tajikistan. And we were talking about the dimension in which this development is growing, how this the prosecutor's office is working, what they are developing, what they are seeing on their plate. Well, a year is over. What new has happened? What would you like to pay attention at? What is in the area of interest? Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alina. As you have said, that the previous presentation was dedicated to protection of the rights, and today there are plenty of sessions and a lot of foreign guests. I would like to speak about the experience of our work with the countries of the Islamic world, various risks and mechanisms for preventing respective infringements, and the guarantees of the property rights provided in Tajikistan to attract the attention of investors on our economy. Tajikistan has a long time experience of interaction with Islamic economies. We started doing that in the early years of our independence. Within these years, we have developed very close cooperation with such structures such as OIC, Islamic Development Bank, Economic Cooperation Organization, Gahan Development Bank, and as well as a number of other international Islamic organizations. And cooperation with them is organized in a way that we are assuring the reliability of our economy as well as preventing the use of the name of Islam on behalf of the fundamental structures that are working in the country. So as I said, we were doing this from the very first years of achieving our independence. Over these years, we managed to organize tight cooperation with the countries of OIC, which we have joined back in 1993, developing cooperation on religious solidarity and economic safety of our relations with these countries.
And in 1992, we joined the Organization of Economic Cooperation. And this organization has contributed a lot into development of our country. And at certain time, the volume of the trade turnover was about 40% of our economical turnover in total. With the support of the Islamic Bank of Development, so we have implemented several projects in transportation, finances, agriculture, banking, and Aga Khan organization also contributed a lot into the restoration of our economy, and they helped us in our cotton industry, agriculture, and many of our economic partners in Islamic states are Iran, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Kuwait. The relationship with these countries are based on the intergovernment agreements, memorandums, and special programs for the trade and economic cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, the business communication always connected with the risks and threats, which can be maybe in nationalizations of the property of the states, raiding business investors discrimination, and freezing the assets, and what we see these years, and the changing of the taxation, some limitations for financial operations, visa limitations, and so on. Because of that, the business structures make decisions to take into account the different risks, the political stability, global position of the country, and its vulnerability, and maybe sanctions, and a level of corruption, independence of the judicial system, and we have taken into account the guarantees for the investments. And of course, it's inevitable, raises the question whether this economy is reliable or not. In Tajikistan, is very stable, politically it's very stable country. According to the international ratings, Tajikistan last year was in the first place on the level of the security and safety for life. And we know that we are. According to the reports of the World Bank, Tajikistan for the last 10 years has been 4 times in the countries which create the best conditions for the business. We have all necessary rules and regulations to protect business. We have very comfortable taxation policy, licensing policy, and also regulate the in order to stimulate the protection of the investors. We have special laws which protects investment, and we protect investment agreements. And as for the investors, we create special taxation legislation, and sometimes we even free businesses from all custom duties and taxes. We have special simplified way for giving licenses, and of course we try to decrease this bureaucratic load. And we also, as protection measures for our investments, we protect investments in all possible ways in our legislation, and we provide some compensation if some conditions for investment were violated. And we monitor the situation very closely, and we prevent government to interfere too much into the business structures. So we also do not allow to discriminate businesses, and this is done by the special committee. It's a state committee in our government, and General Prosecutor Office takes very active part in this. Tomorrow in Dushanbe we will have a meeting of the general prosecutors. It's about 12 countries. We will be there. We will have the general prosecutor represent Iran, Pakistan, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia will be as a guest. We will consider some issues of economic security, business expansion. And let me underline again that this session is very important, and I really would like to hope that this event will strengthen economic security on the territory of the countries which are interested in this kind of cooperation of all our organization. Thank you very much. Muhammad, we all see how Tajikistan is changing. Nowadays, it's a very sustainably developing economy, and you talked a lot about investment, but we understand when you work with the leading financial sectors in Islamic world, it will impose some limitations, and we have to monitor it closely. Well, we have control from investors, control from general prosecutor. So this is a dilemma. How do you do that, and how do you regulate this? Well, the matter is that our investors have a lot of rights. They can go to the court, they can protect themselves. They have a very close relationship with General Attorney Office, and we very often organize different business meetings with business international structures which are interested in protecting the investors' right. And we never lose the focus of our attention in this area. We think that in order to attract more resources, we have to give more legal guarantees to protect the money in the economy of our country. And very short question, don't you see sometimes the conflict between your national standards from the viewpoint of protecting investors and international? Thank you. Well, the matter is that usually the disputes between investors and state are solved in court, and we give investors and state representatives, we provide them with some kind of a contractual relations so that they can choose the country to solve the problem. If they don't like it, so they can do it in Tajikistan. So they can choose any court for any country. Well, we don't have any problems, but if we do have these problems, we will solve them, let me assure you. Yes, so please pay attention to the Tajikistan, and I think this is a very nice and very good history how to develop the B2B relationship in this area. I hope that next year we will meet again, and Attorney General promises us that we will continue, so we'll be able to share the results of these issues with investment. And so you will tell us how we solve this problem. So that is why thank you very much. So we will see the new development. So we talked about Tatarstan, and we defined that Tatarstan pays a lot of attention to development of marketplaces and draw your attention to this. And nowadays we will have a specialists who deal with this. So that is why I would like to give floor to Farido Abdulganiyev. So he is the assistant for the Race of Republic of Tatarstan. Farid, I have known you for a long time, and now I know that you are a big fan of digitalization, and you have created and implemented so-called digital law. And so nowadays, how do you see the possibility of developing the relationship between business of the countries in Islamic world, and where is the place for the ombudsman, and how you protect the rights of the business? Well, our Rais is the main driver for digitalization. We help him. But as for working with business, yes, this is true. Dear colleagues, dear representatives from the Prosecutor General. So we have two main events which are tried and tested Tatarstan. I remember we had COVID-19 and the global geopolitical pressure. I will just give you three numbers. Thanks to the president, participation of Russian Federation, ministers, the government, general attorney, and the business community. So these are just three numbers, as you can see there. So that is for we have 4% more small and medium businesses, and almost 30% of self-employed people. So it's a very important statistic. So you can stop in there, but I will talk more a little bit about it. And I would like to explain to you how we did it. As for the work with investors, so traditionally Tatarstan is one of the leaders for in this area. So we analyzed top 20 investors, and half of them were from Islamic countries. And we have this forum already for the 16th time, and so it's definitely a clear result, and so we see it. So in spite of the geopolitical situation here in Tatarstan, we have Turkish companies, Iran companies, Kazakhstan companies, Uzbekistan companies, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, and I hope that after this forum, the number of these consulates will increase, because for business, first of all, you have to support it. I would like to thank diplomats, because I know who they are, I know all of them, and thank you very much. We can always rely on your help. The big role belongs to Islamic banking, and nowadays Reis said that, Rustam said that we have halal food, halal lifestyle, halal medicine, but Islamic banking, it's just kind of a separate issue. So now we are experimenting with this together with Bashkortostan and Chechnya and Dagestan. And from the 1st of September, we'll launch this experiment, so the government will see how it works. Of course, we need support of the general attorney so that we can go through it carefully. And during this period, we have to show our government what we have done. And if we can show good results, meaning better than we had, this incident will lead to nowhere. But we know that we can do it together. And so one of these projects is the Center for Iranian Trade. We pay a lot of attention to it. We have Iranian Bank in Tatarstan. Yes. And so you can implement this project. So we had very big challenges as well as logistics. As you remember, I told you how we worked with Myers, and how we work with Myers companies. So, but there was the logo of the dealer company, Transcontainer, and the company Fiska 1 year and a half ago. So now we have the shuttle transportation once in 10 days between Kazan and Vladivostok. So we just work very efficiently and very precisely. So Russian railroads companies also connected with us, and they do a lot for us. And I'm sure that we probably need this kind of a shock in order to be ready to solve other ambitious tasks, and especially when we're talking about the corridor, transportation corridor, north-south. For the last 3 years, we had 25,000 complaints. What I can say that we have less of them. And this year we had a little more than 500 application complaints. We believe that it was possible to do that because we are very open, and we openly directly talk to a business community, and we help our small and medium business to find answers. So that is why we organize a special system with which can analyze the repeated questions. So we have standard questions, and it saves a lot of time. 70% of tales is solved by this in this mode. And even today, during our discussion, so we speak professional language, and sometimes business community does not understand it. And then during pandemic complications, we started speaking closer and meeting more often with business community. We have special Telegram channel with 300 subscribers, which is a very good indicator result because it's pretty boring. It has a lot of legal issues, and we try to explain certain things, simple words to business community, and very often I see some kind of very complicated explanations of the legal issues to business community, but we try to simplify it. We try to make it simple and easy to understand. So we see our mission in adaptation. All our work could have been not possible without our partner. So these are ombudsmen in the regions of our districts, 45 of them. So they work very diligently, pro bono, and we talk a lot with the entrepreneurs and listen to their problems. And fortunately, we have these people who invest their own time, their experience, use their influence, and they help entrepreneurs in the regions. So we use this practice very intensively. And strategic partner, of course, this is the Attorney General Office. So several days after his appointment, his first event, he conducted as a meeting with the business community. 4 hours he was talking with the business community, and he was very efficient in this way. He helped small business a lot to fight bureaucracy. I hope that we will continue our work with the General Attorney. And I worked in this area. I understand what that means. I understand what the monitoring job. I know that the most important is to preserve and protect our business community. And it's much better to prevent problem than to solve it. And I think all this kind of approaches will show very good results.
Because we are seeing economic growth in the entrepreneurship area. And I would like to add a separate important aspect that we have supported and continuing in the Republic. For many years, the Center of Public Procedures, Business and Corruption, whenever various elements are brought together, and we need to study together various corruption matters with the leading lawyers of the Republic. We are bringing in all of them together with the mass media, best lawyers of the Republic, together with the General Prosecutor's Office, looking at things publicly. Well, of course, we wouldn't want taking things to that level, but it end up being an important publicity lever. And conclusion, I'd like to thank colleagues from the General Prosecutor's Office, federal level, specifically, of course, Republic of Tatarstan. We know that we can day and night. We don't always even need a written address. Oftentimes, we can even make a call to make sure to attract their attention to some aspects, speaking about the interest of the entrepreneurs of the Republic of Tatarstan or any other regions, Muslim countries of the world. Welcome to the Republic of Tatarstan. We would be one of the most trusted colleagues supporting you in every regard. Thank you very much, Farid, Mr. Abdul Ghanif. And I thought that what could be a recipe of effective work? I believe it's the best feedback. You are managing to do that. You have built that. I fully support that. I have myself been a participant of that reception procedure. And it's wonderful that you are bringing in our platform for business, RF. Thank you very much to the General Prosecutor's Office of the Republic and the facts showing lowering these crop practices and challenges. It's an outcome of systemic approach in legal aspects, and I would of course leave Mr. Alexei Agorian to speak about the way this is Gavirin to speak about how it's organized at the State Duma. These practices that we are having in the Republic are very well developed. Small question, could you please talk to us about the prospects of growth of digital small and medium entrepreneurship environment that Rais has mentioned? Well, we believe it's inevitable. It's something that needs support. Maybe we are not paying great attention to the detail, but we are doing, and whatever we are doing is immediately showing us results. It assures optimization of both time and resources. Plus, of course, this is risk-related approach since we are having the colleagues of General Prosecutor's Office. We are talking about the risks-oriented approaches in case of entrepreneurs. I believe the risk-oriented approach should be as a mirror towards the inspector to other various oversight bodies if they are delayed, if they're delaying their response, etc. If it's once or second times, it's of course maybe giving some hard time, etc. But it's important. The risk-based approach responsibility should be both a two-way sword. If you are entrusted with something, you should be fully responsible. So in that sense, risk-oriented approach, and thus it should be two-way sword, should be two-way approach, and that way, inshallah, I will be able to demonstrate you our achievements about the digital support for our small and medium entrepreneurship and respective ecosystem. Talking about, Farid, Mr. Abdul Ghanif is demonstrating what risk-oriented approach. It's important to speak that this is something that is well demonstrated by in here, of course, General Prosecutor of the Republic. We are seeing it. The most important thing is, of course, they trust in the word of the entrepreneur who is legal. Of course, it's important that way we are assuring the general principle of living, abiding the laws and norms, and it's being implemented in the Republic. Let's hope, looking forward to see growing network with in cooperation with the neighbors, our strategic partners that are supporting this interaction who for many years with us, for example, is a prosecutor of the General Department of General Prosecutor's Office of Kyrgyz Republic, Mr. Eldiyar Ayalchiyev. Bishkek is something very close to my heart. It's always demonstrating very good indicators and openness for innovations. Also, in the area of the oversight, is impressing us once again. Could you please talk to us about the dimension in which you are developing the prosecutorial oversight, and how do you see the prospects of international cooperation in this regard? Good afternoon, dear participants of this forum. To begin with, let me welcome you on behalf of the leadership of the General Prosecutor's Office of Kyrgyz Republic. I wish success and well-being to all. It's quite symbolic that the thematic session, guarantees of economic security and threats prevention in the context of expanding business communications with the Islamic world, is taking place in the city of Kazan. Kazan is a place which is an important Russian center of Islamic culture. The place where a first printed Quran came into being, a sacred book for Muslims, and otherwise a unique place where in peace and friendship a number of the largest regions of the world are living side by side. Now, responding to your question, dear Lynn, I would like to mention the important role of the General Prosecutor's Office of the Kyrgyz Republic in the overall efforts of the leadership of the Republic on attracting investors into the country, on protection of the local businesses, in line with the decrees of the President of Kyrgyz Republic. On all levels, we are having a organized processes in place to develop reliability of business entrepreneurship in their territory of Kyrgyz Republic, assuring their protection for them from the illegal intervention of various state bodies as well as criminal entities, let's call it that way. And joint efforts of both the state as well as the community over the course of recent years allowed Kyrgyz Republic to make important steps for establishing the environment attractive and comfortable for bringing in entrepreneurship in into various fields of economy. It's a priority for one of the priorities in the strategic development of the country. In this regard, a number of important tasks are being implemented on strategic program in line with the strategic programmatic documents. Legislative institutional reforms in the country are a result of integrated work of all bodies of authority directed at improving the environment for business as well as bona fides business. In this regard, to assure lowering of corruption, developing the legal environment for the performance of business activities of the entrepreneurs. In 2019, Business Ombudsman position was established. At the moment, it's an active entity supporting the entrepreneurs, conducting their activities without unnecessary intervention with state bodies. It's important to know that Kyrgyz Republic Constitution assures the guarantees of the state and sets the responsibility of the state for assuring comfortable business climate. That task is laid on both the state authorities as well as municipalities. The bodies of prosecution are paying great attention nowadays to protecting entrepreneurs from unjustified intervention of various oversight bodies and law enforcement bodies, which altogether promotes successful development of businesses in Kyrgyzstan. In this regard, to improve entrepreneurial activity, proper entrepreneurial climate, we are implementing a set of systemic measures directed at improvement of their functioning ecosystem. The General Prosecutor's Office is tracking and disclosing various cases of unjustified intervention, oversight, various measures against entrepreneurs, and we are responding thereto accordingly. Based on various reforms on criminal legislation, we are having a number of norms that were adopted to support entrepreneurs and investors. Oftentimes, we were seeing criminal cases were initiated in a fraudulent manner that were supposed to be studied in court, and those criminal cases were initiated in an unjustified manner. Entrepreneurs were being suffering from such acts, and today we are having measures in place, in particular as the General Prosecutor's Office, to prevent such opportunities. We are very active in this work. There were, of course, cases when, for example, law enforcement activities were doing various checks and that way paralyzing entrepreneurial activity that were in some cases leading to losses, sometimes even to bankruptcy. And to prevent such infringements, the legislation of the Republic includes new norms in regard of this. Opening cases, lawsuits against entrepreneurs is now more complicated. To initiate respective criminal cases, respective law enforcement authorities have to provide a conclusion of respective bodies. At the moment, we are also happy to announce that temporary imprisonment for the period of respective investigations is not possible in Kyrgyzstan any longer. As well as number of activities such as environmental agency that is doing all aspects related to assuring that as a part of their services as well, entrepreneurial rights of the entrepreneurs are not infringed on. To assure that all the infringed interests would be justified, the practice of the prosecutorial oversight demonstrates that it's effective to establish a dedicated department of the General Prosecutor's Office for protecting entrepreneurial rights in modern days. So rapid response of prosecution's office, bringing attention to these cases in mass media, it has very much increased the role of the General Prosecutor's Office in the economic life of our country. In our case, one of the tools for protecting entrepreneurial right is based on the database of entrepreneurs, small and medium enterprises. This database allows us, in live mode, tracking registration of various procedures of oversight over entrepreneurs. And whenever we disclose unjustified interventions of oversight bodies, we as Prosecutor's Office are taking rapid response to prevent such interventions. We have also developed a mobile application, quite actively used nowadays, and under the General Prosecutor's Office of Kyrgyz Republic, we have established a consultative council meant to assure protecting rights of entrepreneurs and investors. This is a platform for dialogue discussing topical issues. Noting that the session is a very appropriate and timely guarantees of economic security and threats prevention in the context of expanding business communications with the Islamic world, it seems to us that it's important that all prosecutors' offices that are taking part could benefit from exchanging experience in various research work and training our prosecutorial staff, as well as on matters streamlining and speeding up our cooperation. In conclusion, I'd like to state the General Prosecutor's Office of Kyrgyz Republic is in the view that it's important that we should be having necessary platforms for international cooperation, that way generating impetus for cooperation and development. For us, this forum that is taking place ended up being very fruitful already so far. Of the forum, we have been exposed to a great amount of information that will be useful for us and that we will be able to materialize in our country as well. Thank you very much. SDR. As lawyers, we note that criminal and criminal procedural legislation is developing quite dynamically. In your case, following you, everybody started to state, let's look at various concepts such as criminal case, criminal drawback, etc. And we noted that criminal legislation started being flexible, responding to the needs of the time. From your personal point of view, what do you feel could be done else? What laws could be adopted to further improve entrepreneurial climate in the region and the country? Thank you for quite an appropriate question. It's important to note that over the course of last 5-6 years, criminal legislation and criminal procedural legislation has been changed already twice. Legislation in place and the criminal procedural code, other codes, are very different from what it used to be once, and nowadays it allows us, the agencies of the state, to implement all the necessary programs to support the interests of the entrepreneurs. And the first decree of the president of the country, the very first decree of the president in 2024, was also the one directed at further strengthening support of the entrepreneurs. Decree in line with which, through 31st of December 2024, all checks on the entrepreneurs were forbidden except for in case of proven criminal cases.
And also, we have adopted some other laws and regulations, and in this area we work very actively. I believe in. Well, let's hope we'll get more and better news next year and share them with us, especially taking into account that you're so deeply in this area. And now I would like to Now we will talk with the Deputy Director of the Federal Anti-Monopoly Service, Andrei. Let's just see. We have to get connection, internet connection. The colleagues? Not so far, right? Okay. I was hoping that our colleague would. Let me just introduce to you Alexei Borisovich Gavril, and he is. I can tell you a lot about this person because they do a lot in our government, and our president. He always underlines that we have to protect business in all the documents and everywhere in the programs and his election campaign. He always has been saying the business must be protected, and we see that it works. And of course, we understand, but you are very important in the government. So just tell us what have you done, and we understand the importance of it. So you understand why we need you here and what we have to do. Well, thank you very much, Elena, dear friends, and first of all, I would like to thank the General Attorney Office. I would like to say that the General Attorney is doing a lot and organizing this kind of discussions, not only in Kazan but also in some other places, and in Eastern Economic Forum. So it's very useful for us, for all of you who work in this area, for us as lawmakers and in the government, because all these problems which we discuss, they are reflected in the work of all of us. And I can say that answering your question, I'll have to say and focus more on those things which were set by our president just 1 week. They were published in his special decree about national priorities, and apart from that, there was a special address to the Federal Assembly. And of course, these are our guiding lines, and we continue shaping up the comfortable climate for our business. And speaking of the economy, we are on the new stage of building up our economical model. We started it several years ago, and we continue it. And all what happens in the world economy, they create new possibilities for us, for our communities, and from the countries of the economic cooperation, Islamic economic cooperation. Well, for us, it's very important. And what President told us in what's going on in the export, for example, in our country, well, it's very ambitious goals, but we have to increase our non-raw material export by 2030, not less than 2/3. And it says one more indicator: by 2030 we have to increase our agro export not less than 50%. And the third, it's the export of our tourism 3 times as opposed to 2023. Of course, it all should orient us to writing new laws which can facilitate the implementation of these new laws. And the State Duma, as a lower chamber of our parliament, lower house of our parliament. It's the main lawmaking body of our country. And I have to say that we have the special committee for small and medium business. I don't know any other parliaments where we have this kind of specifically organized committee with this purpose to help small and medium business. And this is a very good example. And if we talk about latest laws which we issue, and one of the newest one in April, so we have corrected a lot in our business. So we would just change the law to help small and medium business. And now a few words about Islamic banking. I remember how we talked about it, how we discussed it. And last year we've done a lot in this area. And nowadays we see the pilot project, we see desire to take part in it, and I'm sure that this mechanism will work and help us to grow our investment. And so that is why we talk about future plans. We are oriented on fulfilling what was written in the presidential address, and very important law is coming. It's a new tax law, new tax regulations, which has been waited for a long time by the entrepreneurs community, because it will help us to solve some challenges in the business. And the work in implementation of this kind of work, we also export duties, and last year we delegated some rights to the government to correct this kind of payments, and according to the economic situation in the country. And the development of the export potential has to be developed through using the share of the technological companies among the small and medium businesses. Well, we know that a lot of companies, small medium business, involved in trade business, and this export potential, we have to increase this investment, and we have to increase the gross national product, and we have to create special conditions to increase the number of this kind of companies. My colleague and I, deputy of the government from Republic of Tatarstan, Afia Kagogina, we do it together as United Russia, and we have just finished quite significant analytical survey among the business community. It's about 100 pages. What have we changed? What have we improved? So the technological companies can keep growing, develop from micro business, go to big companies, and that's exactly what we were talking about, and we have been doing it together with the government, new government. We analyze the results of this big analytical project, and I believe that by autumn we will develop certain laws, and these laws will be adopted by the government. It's one more direction, which is about development of support of the export infrastructure in different countries. We pay a lot of attention to this. We have Russian Export Center, and I participate in different forums, and every week I meet with entrepreneurs. And when I meet with export companies, they all tell me that nowadays in our country support of those companies which are export oriented, they're just more than you can possibly imagine. People are very happy to tell me that this institute is very efficient, and a lot of business people from business, they feel support of the government. So that is why I would like to explain it to our entrepreneurs and tell them again, don't hesitate to come to us, don't hesitate to come to these support centers, especially the ones who are involved in export operations. They work under the umbrella of the Ministry of Economics in each and every region, so that you can go there and solve the problems which you have and grow and develop. And the one more thing is that nowadays in our country we have finished one of the stages of oversight activity, and last year we organized a forum in Vladimirsky Oblast. This is my home region, and I remember that 2-3 years ago, entrepreneurs during these conferences and forums, the first question they asked, and there was a question of administrative pressure or bureaucracy, that he told us that we have to reform this oversight activity. Now we solved it. Our colleague, the ombudsman here, and he also named it all these oversight inspections. Most of them are just like preventive measures, and I can say that when the vice prime minister was appointed, Dmitry Grigorenko, in his presentation, he specifically said that we will continue this reform, and that we will use this kind of approach, and we will try to prevent unnecessary complications for business. And it's a very big step for our entrepreneurs, and who simplifies the interaction with the government. And of course, being here, I have to say that the General Attorney Office plays a very special role in this kind of work, and everything connected with the oversight inspections. I remember that in St. Petersburg, my colleague said that we need a special law which should regulate the oversight proceedings, because anyway we have a lot of issues, a lot of questions, and this document was renewed. And those of you who don't know, I just recommend you to read it. It's an open document which in detail describes the rights and submissions for the prosecutors in the regions and their offices. And entrepreneurs who come across this kind of problems, and maybe they have some misunderstanding what prosecutor's office is responsible for. So we described it in every detail. Well, General Attorney supported us in helping us to organize this lawmaking process in the best possible way in favor of the business. And of course, I have to say about our next new platform, which is so-called for business platform. So again, this is a special instrument which contributes a lot into the improving our investment climate. We see how this platform works. It helps us to organize direct communication with basically all law enforcement agencies. Well, statistics about it, and those complaints which I monitored, so on both of them, these complaints were answered, and we got positive feedback from business community. Thank you very much. I've been working on this 5 years on this platform. It's like my baby project, and people come to us, and we're happy to deal with every success, and we have very good cases about very difficult business problems, and so we have very, very good examples from real life, and people were very happy to get this help from us. And yes, we help people, we help families, legal entities, and thank you very much. But the question is here, we talked a lot about the interactions, and I'm very thankful to that establishing connections, contacts. How nowadays you in your parliamentary relationship are you able to harmonize legislation within different kind of unions, BRICS, so Islamic countries, communities? Do you do these things? It's a separate topic. I can talk a lot about it, but we have 2 minutes only. Yes, we not just open. Our country is an initiator of this kind of work, and we know that in State Duma, and last year we organized several events, and one of them the Parliamentary Forum Russia and Latin America, and the second one was the Forum Russia and Africa. And apart from that, in St. Petersburg last year we had Economic Forum Russia Africa, and this year we plan big forum in October this year, which will unite and put together countries of Africa and Latin America. Each of these forums, these are contacts with the parliaments, and the purpose of it is to improve our legislation. Not only we tell about our experience, we also learn, we study, we borrow the experience of different countries in terms of improving the laws which improve the investment climate. So yes, we do. We work in this direction. I don't want to dwell on details, but well, as for me personally, I'm head of one of these groups, so-called Gambia-Senegal Friendship Group. Gambia, Senegal, so these are small countries, but we see the huge future in their cooperation.
In that sense, we are having a principle whenever the deputies, the members of the Council of Federation are being identified, and we are doing respective meetings on a weekly basis. We are, of course, not replacing interaction done at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs level, but we are supporting for fine-tuning the legislation of respective countries. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Alexey Borisovich will be very happy to hear about the outcomes per results that Kazan has taking the baton on the interaction in this international cooperation regard. The key phrase of the day is assuring the safety of investment. In that sense, my question would be to colleagues, to a delegation of Uzbekistan who are with us today. What reforms, and since we are talking about the reforms, we can't be avoiding Uzbekistan now, what reforms are implemented in the area of protection of businesses? How close are we from the point of view of harmonization of legislation? Would you be ready to respond? Yes, please. Gafran, thank you very much for such an event. We have heard a lot of useful information that you'll be able to use in our activities. In recent years in Uzbekistan, we are seeing cardinal transformation of our economy to assure a convenient environment for economic activities. I'd like to mention a number of them. For example, very much simplified licensing for conducting specific types of businesses. In particular, for example, construction business has seen significant improvement. The moratorium for criminal investigations against businesses for 3 years. 3 years, no additional criminal or administrative responsibility norms would be introduced, plus stabilization of state oversight. There are some state bodies that have suspended issuing licenses or stopped working offline. In principle, they are only interacting online. In this regard, I would like to state that state oversight bodies only have the right of single rejection in issuing a permit. If second time they do not have such a possibility, if whenever additional document is supplied or additional or meeting previous requirements is done, then they are automatically receiving a license. In case of construction, introduction of respective facilities into operation is also automatically approved if everything is done in line with the procedure in place. It's important to know that we are having a rating of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs that are having high ratings are being freed of various tax authority checks. They are given various tax advantages. Excess taxes paid into the budget are being returned within one single day. Just recently, 2nd and 3rd May, we had the 3rd Tashkent International Investment Forum, as part of which the head of the state made clear proposals on strengthening the rights of investors. A law on investment will be developed. It will be developed in line with the rules and standards of World Trade Organization. Plus, soon International Court of Commerce will start operating. New approach into the system of industrial zones will be introduced. We would be widening the practice of attracting private investors into the country. Additional privileges will be given to investors. If investors are meeting their investment obligations, then land would be passed on into their property. Speaking about general prosecutors' bodies, prosecution bodies are taking part in protecting rights and interests of investors. With participation of General Prosecutor's Office, we have developed a number of platforms that are integrated with the state governance systems. For example, Export Portal Information System, which was established first to support exporting enterprises, but it was further reformed, and now it's a single window for all entrepreneurs. Export Portal is a platform integration of General Prosecutor's Office. Respective request of the entrepreneur is being studied by all bodies of authority, and if whatever the response of the whatever agency does not satisfy the entrepreneur, automatically this application is redirected to the General Prosecutor's Office, and only after that, that application is not being seen as at the third level. By the decree of the President, we have an established governmental committee headed by the Prime Minister. First Deputy General Prosecutor General is a deputy of the Prime Minister in this commission, where on a weekly basis they are visiting various territories and discussing all the challenges and problems of the entrepreneurs. All requests, all problems are being registered into the system, and they are being covered by the General Prosecutor's Office. Infringements are covered by various responsibility levels up to criminal one. We are also having Kimlik program that is covering investment projects from throughout the life cycle of introduction to the implementation, depending on the level. We are having different level prosecutor, deputy head of prosecutors of respective level, as well as executive bodies and various bodies of oversight at each respective level, whether it's high level, mid level, or low level investment, respectively country level, regional level, or municipal level. The bodies that are responsible for the implementation of investment projects are more interested in the success of respective projects than investors and entrepreneurs themselves, because the performance of entrepreneurs is based for their performance assessment. Well, you have flooded us with information and impressed us very much. 2 years ago, we have traveled to your country based on the invitation, because your colleague got interested in the platform for business, because you don't have such a platform, and that's a wonderful feedback. When the law enforcement agencies understand that if something is having a challenge, there was some interest to we have worked with you, dear colleagues, and respective we wanted to bring in respective practices into our country, and you are unable to see that yet. You'd like to see that. Plus, of course, you have not covered the great achievements of yours on the Ombudsman for the interest for entrepreneurs. And on the topics that we heard here is, I would mention a unique approach that Uzbekistan has in addressing respective questions, as well as a wonderful proposal of the president of Kyrgyzstan that was expressed as part of the Euro-Asian Economic Union Forum when he has proposed to start having a single business ombudsman of Eurasian economic activity, but we are seeing very diversity of our systems, a lot of authority in one countries, little in the others, and none in the third group of countries. I believe that would be great if we could integrate interaction of the Institute of the Ombudsman, because it's very well integrated into respective legal system. You as experts at the forefront have even greater expertise in this regard. Certainly, you have got us interested in learning the practices of your country and get the results. Dear colleagues, we are overtaking on the timing, but luckily we are connected with Mr. Andrei Tsiganov, Deputy Head of Federal Anti-Monopoly Service. Very, very happy to see you. Yeah. We are talking a lot today on interaction, on building various platforms. What could be the role in this regard of the Federal Anti-Monopoly Service, and what can we brag about in this regard today? Thank you very much for the question. First of all, I'm wholeheartedly welcoming all the participants of Kazan Forum, Russia, Islamic world. Unfortunately, I was not able to be with you today in the city of Kazan. I was there a few weeks ago. A magnificent city. I would like to state that the widening communications and interaction with the Islamic world is a proven fact. It's an outcome of the round table of ours. In our practice, Federal Anti-Monopoly Service, we are seeing the growth of the goods turnover. We are seeing widening of the investment cooperation. We are seeing some reorientation of trade and economic relationships of the Russian Federation towards the respective laws are turning towards Asia and Africa, and that is related not just to some geopolitical issues, but purely pragmatic aspects, and that's very important. We understand that the task of support, of assuring, preserving good economic climate is one of the tasks set by the President of the Russian Federation. And we have heard about the dedication to this course at the level of discussions of the level of the new government of the Russian Federation. Overcoming the barriers of investment, it's also an important topic. And I would try to touch this, responding to your question, speaking about the mechanisms applied at the Federal Anti-Monopoly Agency's activities. Before this, I would like to take a look at this topic at a different angle, from a different aspect. We are seeing, not just seeing, understanding well that both Russia-based and foreign entrepreneurs should be abiding by the rules of doing business in the country of their presence. And one of the components is the rules of fair, honest competition, and these are set in our country by the Law on Protection of Competition, adopted back in 2006. The oversight for the abidance of respective by the respective law is seen by us not just an oversight measure, But one of the elements of protecting businesses from non-bona fides participants of the business environment, it's an important element. Possible infringement of the legislation on competition is abusing dominant position, setting monopolistic prices, some collusion, etc. And Federal Anti-Monopoly Service is having authority of studying respective cases, doing investigation, and taking actions against these infringements. And I would like to stress that respective infringements are exterritorial. So we are running those cases both in regard of Russian legal bodies as well as based on applications by Russian and foreign entities that are claiming some unfair competition practices, because in this regard, all agents are equal, and the system and our performance is against the bodies that are infringing competition. That is also related to entities located, registered at other markets, but running business in Russian Federation, thinking that legislation cannot that justice mechanisms cannot reach them if they are located in different jurisdictions. But this is not true, as our experiences shows. We are using various sanctions, prescriptions, warnings, fines, sometimes as percentage of the turnover of the companies towards officials. Sometimes disqualification is used, but for participation in collusion in cartel, that Russian legislation foresees criminal responsibility. Looking at 2023 data, we have studied about 1,500 cases on infringement of legislation on competition, had some 3,000 requests for mergers and acquisitions when either Russian or foreign entrepreneurs were buying assets in the Russian Federation. The law prescribes that in certain cases, whenever contracts are a large higher than certain threshold, these are being studied by us, the body of authority, and those have to be approved. I'd like to state that the rules of monopoly control, are improving ceaselessly. And in here we are, of course, open for discussion of challenges there are in the application of the law. Challenges we are seeing in the various economy of Russia. We have expert councils surrounding us from everywhere that are working, that are regularly meeting representatives of businesses, producers, consumers, representatives of federal bodies of authority can be coming together discussing those challenges, respective proposals related to proposals that federal anti-monopoly services are coming about, either using a rigid application of law or making situation at the marketplace more competitive. Is possible. Another element I'd like to dwell on is that the activities of the Federal Anti-Monopoly Service, its expert councils, as well as public council, community council under the by the FAS of Russia, are important tools that are helping us in adoption of strategic decisions on procedural aspects. At the same time, the cases that we work on are public, and these are competitive procedures. It's not a separate official, it's a committee that works. Unfortunately, we lost your sound, sir. Somehow. Meanwhile, when we do not hear you, sir, strangely enough, could we please reboot the connection with our distinguished speaker? We unfortunately don't hear you, sir. Unfortunately, sir. Not possible at the moment. Signage, can we request you maybe somehow to reboot something on your side, because our technical staff demonstrates that we do not have sound coming to us, and that's somehow not on our side. Maybe we can reboot all the connections, and meanwhile I received a message that we are taking over seriously. We had a question from the audience, and it was said that we are ready to have it spoken in the microphone. Please.
Dear callers, a question about Azerbaijan. How do you prevent the unlawful oversight? As I said in my presentation, the law about illegal oversight, it's very important. And so I will talk a little more about it. So entrepreneurs have a right to go to general attorney or to the court. So in this investigation, you can have only tax oversight, or only if there is a direct threat to the life of people or real threat to the national security or economic security. So if this oversight was conducted with violations, so could be a criminal investigation. Who abused their powers. So this it can be done only, this kind of oversight, unplanned oversight can be only in very, very extraordinary situations. So our entrepreneurs are protected from this kind of illegal actions, and they have all rights to go to general attorney. So this is part of the efforts how to decrease the pressure on business and how to support entrepreneurs' activity. Thank you very much. I have 2 minutes. I have to give floor to our representative from the General Attorney, Vladislav Kuchkin, who works in exactly this area. So I will not dwell a lot on how actively we work. Well, we work a lot. How you yourself evaluate the readiness of General Attorney Office to protect not just Russian entrepreneurs but also foreign investors. We have very good experience of Azerbaijan. We have our approach. This is the Article 134 of entrepreneurs activity, and this is the KPI. And so in these two efforts, so we'll have to talk about it. I look at the experience of the CIS countries, and we had some period when we were together in Soviet Union, so it just is reflected in our common approach. There are some differences, but as for the entrepreneurship, so most of us talked about the same things. We have special economic zones. We have the moratorium for oversight inspections, and we have different kind of responsibilities for it, and different approaches probably are the same. Although I learned a lot of new things, thank you, my colleagues Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan was interesting to listen to, is for our ability to protect entrepreneurs. So you remember, we in our office we have a special department for protection of entrepreneurs, and very often we have disputes, we have disagreements, and usually we try to be objective, find a balance of interests, and we see that if the entrepreneur is benevolent and if they work honestly, so we protect their rights. And as for the moratorium for the unlawful oversight, so we have the same experience, and we cannot initiate the criminal case if this oversight was unlawful, but we can go to court. But we also can punish those who organize this oversight. Yes, and if some kind of regulations were violated, we have special paragraph in our administrative code, and also have a criminal code article there. So which is protects the business activity. We look at statistics of the last year, and before St. Petersburg, we work very actively with this kind of approach, and we recently witnessed the one of these cases in the Arctic zone in the Russian Federation, and the head of the local municipality who organized it, and now he is under the investigation. So yes, we sometimes businesses are not allowed to get connected to the utilities, and so we consider these cases as well, especially the ones which prevent entrepreneurs from their work. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. So we couldn't connect fast. Anti-monopoly service, and they do a lot of important work. And the anti-monopoly service will be playing a more and more important role. We hope that the materials of anti-monopoly service will be disseminated. So Islam Forum for us, it's just a place for us to meet. It is a very important place to develop relationship, and we just not focused on religion. We talk about the culture of interaction, and all of us, we talk about the same things. We monitor it, and we develop support institutes, and we all talk about it. And sometimes we have different approach. So we've told each other how we see it. So we have to develop the unified solutions. We have to create the mechanism for joint work. So that's exactly why we're here. I would like to thank General Attorney, because their work is very important with important consequences. We make friends with business, and when we do it together with the business and government, we can be successful. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for participating and being active. So I'm sure that we will get very good results with this kind of approach. Thank you very much.
Все.